Hello, good people. It's great to be with you. I'm recording this on the same day that I had my wonderful conversation with John Vervaeke and Paul Vanderklay. So I'm still kind of floating in the air over that wonderful conversation that we had. But towards the end of that conversation, John Vervaeke and I talked a little bit about symbolism and what the role of symbolism is. I talked about symbolism as being something that enables us to link up or join or make connections between different levels of reality. And so there is something that I have been thinking about that is taking place on different levels of reality, and I believe that it's connected. And I want to kind of lay it out to you, and you tell me if you think that I'm seeing something that is a real pattern here. Maybe J.P. Marceau or even Jonathan Pageau would be willing to weigh in and say what they think about it. So here is, I'm going to talk about it in three instances of this same thing that I think I'm seeing. The first one has to do with the role of the father or the masculine figure in the home. And what has happened to that in our society as the welfare state has increasingly taken over what used to be that masculine role as a provider and protector of the family. Now, what I want to say about that, first of all, is that I don't believe that when these things are instituted or put into the society, when there are arrangements made through various systems of the government or various charities to help out families, that it is the intention to undermine the family or to create a situation where the father will not be present in the home with the children. However, the creation of the modern welfare state and the way that laws and requirements are written for people to get aid from the welfare state have had the effect of causing greater and greater separation of fathers from their families. We all know that, and it has been observed. It's pretty much of a commonplace to recognize that, and also to give a list of the various psychopathologies that follow from fathers not being in the home. Now, why did this come about at the beginning? Well, it came about at the beginning because there was a lack or there was a failure. So you have some men not carrying out their duty, whether because they couldn't or because they did not want to or were not taking the responsibility for their wives and for the children that were produced in the family, leaving the women in a situation of needing assistance. Once the entire assistance structure was in place, it became an incentive to other women to receive the assistance from the state versus actually allowing the man in their life to take proper care of the children and to be in that role of the husband and father. In a lot of cases, it was a situation where the woman would actually be materially, in some ways, better off if she went with the state aid versus having the father of her children in the home with her. And so it kind of becomes a cascading thing. It sets up a cycle that just continues more and more. And we see what the results of that are. So the pattern I'm seeing is that you have a situation where there is some lack or failure on the part of the masculine entity, and then there is something that comes in to replace that, to take over that function, and it has the effect then of creating more failure on the part of the masculine until the masculine role gets supplanted entirely by some other structure. That's the pattern that I'm seeing in that. Now, I want to apply the same pattern to an entirely different level of reality. And that has to do with our immune system. Now, it's interesting. Yesterday, I think it was Sevilla King posted a video talking about COVID-19 and talking about some of the sources of information that she particularly finds to be advantageous in learning about it. And one of the things that she mentioned was that some of the ways that we used to use to strengthen our immune system or to fight off disease have gone by the wayside. We're not using them anymore. We rely more on pharmaceuticals. We rely more on vaccines. And that's true, of course, and just about everybody observes that. What I want to focus on here then is the idea of the immune system as having a masculine role within our bodies. So the immune system is that takes that masculine role of being the warrior and fighting off the invaders and being a protector. And the way that we used to deal with diseases was to work to strengthen our immune system. We had different techniques that we would use to help our body, like increase its temperature, because when fever goes up, it helps the immune response of the body versus disease, things like that. Okay, now there are failures. Of course, this is not 100%, and there have been terrible diseases that people have suffered from. And having vaccinations and having medicines to help us through deal with these diseases is certainly a great benefit to mankind. I'm not in any way I'm not saying, vaccines are evil, we should never have had vaccines or anything like this. Simply pointing out that this failure, or this point of failure for the immune system, where we had, pandemics like, think about the 1918 flu, things like that, and various epidemics before that and plagues, that these points of failure of the immune system created a situation where it's felt that something needed to come in and replace our natural responses of our body. This natural masculine function needed to be replaced in some instances. Over a period of time, there has been more and more replacement of the natural immune system and more reliance upon things like vaccines and pharmaceuticals, rather than relying upon this masculine function, to the point where there's a tremendous amount of failure now of immune systems. There's a lot of autoimmune illnesses in the population that never used to be there. And it's possible that some of this is attributable to our reliance upon vaccines and other medications. Now, I tried to find the reference for this, and I wasn't able to. Maybe some of you know, but somewhere around a couple of years ago, there was some kind of international conference about vaccines. I think it may have been something sponsored by the UN, I'm not sure. But I know that one of the people that was spearheading, the international objective to increase access to vaccines around the world, somebody actually made the comment in the course of that meeting that it was very important for us to realize that over the past generation or so, that the function of the human immune system had become reliant upon vaccines. That was what the person said. We no longer really have well-functioning immune systems in the human population because we're becoming reliant upon vaccines. I don't want to get into a question about vaccines. I'm simply pointing out this pattern. Here's this masculine function that now had somewhat of a failure. Then something came in to help it, and now it's a cascading failure of that function, to where it's felt by some people that we should just go ahead and totally rely upon vaccines. Don't know how successful that's going to be. These things are always kind of experiments on a large population. Now, on the day that I'm making this video, there's big news in the Catholic world. You may have seen it, or if you're not Catholic, it may be something that went right past you. But Pope Francis has issued something called a motu proprio, and that means it's a document or a proclamation that the Pope issues kind of on his own initiative kind of thing. It's not something that comes out of some thing where he got together with a bunch of bishops and they've all gotten together to decide on this thing. It's not something where somebody asked him a question of what to do about something. But he's issued this motu proprio, this document on his own initiative, and the point of the document is to make a couple of Catholic offices open to women that have not previously been open to women. Now, traditionally, what these offices are the first couple of steps that a man would take toward becoming a priest or toward becoming a deacon. In the Catholic Church, there are two kinds of deacons. There are permanent deacons, and there are, that's called the permanent diaconate. And those men never become priests. They always stay deacons. And then there is the transitional diaconate, transitional deacons, where the role of deacon, the office of deacon, is a step on the way to becoming a priest. But in either case, there are two levels, and that is the acolyte and the lector. And those two levels of office have never been open to women because they were steps to the other levels, and women were not permitted to be in those offices, or they were not permitted those orders, we could say. Okay, so the Pope has opened up these first two steps to women, and the Catholic world is quite in a state of agitation over this entire thing. Now, the reason why the Pope did this ostensibly had to do with a situation going on in South America in the Amazon. The idea there is that there are not enough men to fill certain positions, and so the women are needed to step into to these positions. However, the document that was released by the Pope is not confined this situation or this allowance of having women in these take these steps, does not confine it to the Amazon. It's a global, it's a document that is global, supposedly responding to a very localized situation, but it's the application of the document will be global. So I'm just talking about the pattern here, okay? I'm not even trying to get into the whole question of women and their role in the church right at the moment. I'm just trying to say, to point out that there's a pattern and to ask the question, are we following a pattern here, okay? I do want to read a brief comment that was made, and this is not actually even the entire comment, but it's a portion of a comment that was made by a woman that I'm friends with on Facebook. Her name is Layla Marie Lawler, and here's what she had to say. I just want to read this little bit of what she says. She says, I am a housewife. I'm not an academic, but I can read. Not one theologian or academic I'm aware of read Querida Amazonia. That's the name of the document, the motu proprio. Querida Amazonia, and reported on what it does not say. It does not mention the family and the woman's irreplaceable role in it, as every previous reflection on the church in the world has done. It does not mention mothers and their role in forming children. It does not mention fathers as providers and protectors. But it does speak of women as sort of parallel apostolic agents who ought to be recognized as such. In other words, it speaks very clearly for those who have ears of a new ecclesiology in which traditional apostles, men who are priests, must give way to and work with and often under women in apostolic roles. So that's her commentary. So I read this and I'm thinking, we have a situation where there's a lack. We have a situation where there's a failure, a point of failure, some lack of possibly the masculine role working correctly, or men taking their proper responsibility, or maybe the men aren't there. I don't know what the situation is in that part of the world. Because we have this failure, we're going to have something else take over. And if the pattern holds, this is going to result just in more failure of the masculine, which is going to justify further and further replacement and takeover by something else. At least that's the pattern I'm seeing. You can tell me what you think of it, and I'm sure you will in the comment section. Until we're together again, treat yourself as though you are someone you are responsible for helping, because you are responsible, so am I, and together we are making the world. Bye for now. Thanks so much for watching.